Hi everybody, it's been a while. You know, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you'll know that playing video games turns you into a shitty, loveless, broken person! Garbage, garbage boy, garbage inside and out! At least that's what my mom always used to say. But is there any truth to that? Do video games actually rot your brain? This is the part of the video where your average YouTube man would say, oh, well, actually, video games are going to teach valuable hand-eye coordination skills, hand-eye coordination, valuable social cognitive skills. You know, the classic self-serving pseudoscience people make up about their video game habit to masturbate some validation into their life. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with proof that that is exactly what video games are. Masturbation. Now, obviously, this isn't true of all games, so what I'm going to do is put a question mark after the title video games equals masturbating. That way I can rake in the views with a clickbait title and be technically accurate. Cutting to the chase, I think the games that people spend the most amount of their time playing, myself included, mostly offer fleeting sessions of pleasure like a cheap whore. But in a good way! And I think the most prominent offenders are the big multiplayer games. Overwatch, Dota 2, League of Legends, Call of Duty, CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege, Battlefield. You all know these games. Odds are, a lot of you probably play one of these games every day. And really, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Still though, logging in for a session of any of these blockbuster multiplayer games can be a pretty empty enterprise. Let's look at Overwatch as an example case. I really like this game. I've put in many hours and will put in many more, I'm sure. Like masturbating, it's a whole lot of fun, especially with your friends. But inevitably, as a handful of matches becomes dozens, becomes hundreds, becomes, God forbid, thousands, they start to blend together. They must. I got burnt out on CSGO this way a few years back. Eventually, even though the specific player versus player challenge you're up against varies slightly per multiplayer match, it all starts to feel the same, 'cause it really is. For all the cool plays and moments that can unfold in any given game, really there's not many variables that can differentiate your 500th game on Hanamura from your 5,000th game on Hanamura. I don't regret when I spend a night playing Overwatch. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm saying that if I spend 4 hours queuing competitive in Overwatch and I have fun, still, does it really leave an impression on me? Does it give me anything that I didn't have before I started? There's a caveat here. If you take a game very, very seriously, then the improvement in your skill is a deeper kind of satisfaction than just the base pleasure of playing the game that you enjoy. Not just trying to achieve more wins because wins feel really good, but because you actually care about the game and want to get better at it. It becomes rewarding. I'm sure other people have different experiences than I have with a lot of these big multiplayer games, but at least to me, they just don't feel like they have that something. That certain special je ne sais quoi, je ne sais quoi, or in other words, that special quality that compels you to invest more into the game than just your time, to invest your effort and your will to improve. They mostly strike me as too shallow for that. They not only lack depth, but they lack flavor. Even if you're not looking to get invested in a game for the long haul and get really good, you can still feel like you've had a substantial experience playing it if it has some character to it. Team Fortress 2 is a perfect example of this. Its aesthetic was well defined, its characters were simple but memorable. This will sound vague, because it is. Though it's been years since I've played TF2, the feeling of playing TF2 is still as crystal clear as it was at the time because of its strong character as a game. Now on the other side of the spectrum, let's look at League of Legends. Now League of Legends has way more characters than TF2. It's got a shit ton of characters, but very little character or personality. There's a bunch of kooky cats cracking wise, and you'd think that that would make things interesting. I'm sure that was the intent, but it just adds up to a mess. An emotional flatline built on superficial flavor and quirk that winds up leaving no impression at all. Now, I haven't actually played League of Legends, so I'm basically just talking shit. But that's because anytime I see someone play League of Legends, I just have to scream, please stop jerking off! You're jerking off! When you play League of Legends, you're fucking jerking off! Anyway, the same thing applies to Overwatch, which is a game I have played. Too many characters, not for the gameplay, but for the game to have any kind of coherent theme or personality, and it winds up feeling pretty generic. The moral of the story is don't jerk off too much. It's good in moderation, but there's probably better things you could be doing with your time. For example,
here, where the fuck have we here? These motherfuckers all throwing no rolls. You guys with a bad dream better not sleep, they can know those do some blow.